What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be talking about how I budget the little money I got. Real quick, before I even start, I just want to say that I am not a professional. I'm not an accountant. I am not a banker, a bank teller. I'm just a 23-year-old who has big dreams and big goals that require money and credit and time and energy. So it's just gonna be me talking to you guys about how I budget. Now you can choose to take on some of my budgeting ways, or you can create your own. I would highly suggest that you create your own budgeting routine so that it fits your lifestyle truly. If you're interested in knowing how I budget, or just want to get the ball rolling with your own money, stay tuned and let's get started. Things you need to really get your budget going is either a notebook specifically for your finances, or some sort of Excel spreadsheet if you want to be a little more technical, or you can just do it like the good old days and get you a checkbook. I personally like to have a notebook. I like to see it and work it out on paper, so I like to have a notebook. This is the sheet that my budget started on, so you can start on a sheet of paper and then organize it later. So I wrote down a lot of notes, like 3 to 4 pages full of notes for this video. So before you start your budget, sit down and ask yourself, why are you budgeting? Is there a problem at hand, or do you just want to get ahead of a problem, or is it because you want to start saving for something? What is your why? The more you know your why, the more likely you are to sticking to your budget. So now I'll tell you guys why I am budgeting. I'm personally budgeting because I went from having an income where I would touch new money every single day to now I only get to see new money once a week. So my lifestyle has changed completely. I was a full-time braider, now I'm on payroll. So I had the mindset of like, oh, I can spend this money because I'm gonna get it back tomorrow. I can't do that anymore because I'm not gonna see new money in my account the next day I'm on someone's payroll now. So it's not realistic. So to adjust to my new lifestyle, budgeting was super important. One of the things I did to kick off my budget was to open a new checkings account made strictly for my expenses. So now I have 3 accounts, one for spending, one for my expenses, and one for saving. When I was in college, I started off with just one account, strictly a basic checkings account. Eventually I did start my savings account, and then as of late I just added my expense account. I personally wanted to open an additional checkings account because I wanted an account set strictly for my bills, and I will get into exactly what I consider my expenses in a minute, but I want an account that was strictly for my bills. I want an account that was strictly for my spending, money that I'm free to spend, and savings, money that I do not touch. Let's get into my income breakdown. I have steady income and unsteady income. For steady income, that's pretty much just my guaranteed income, the money that I know for sure is gonna hit my account every Friday. For unsteady is gonna be my income that fluctuates, or income that I don't receive on a monthly basis, that's just up and down, not guaranteed. I particularly budget month to month. Since my expenses are changing within these next few months, I am doing month to month. Now, if you are on a more strict budget, you can do week to week, you can do day to day, whatever fits you, but I'm personally doing month to month. If your income fluctuates based on the amount of hours you work in a week, You may want to do a week-to-week budget. Say for instance, you are scheduled for 25 hours one week and the next week you're scheduled for 35. You may want to do a week-to-week budget unless you're guaranteed to work a certain amount of hours. Or you can just set your income based on a 25-hour week. If you know that your minimum number that you always work a week is 25 hours, set your guaranteed income for 25 hours a week. Then you can mold your month-to-month budget. That way you can kind of know what money you're guaranteed to have and not money that's not guaranteed. You don't want to base your life around money that's not guaranteed. Base your money off of money that is guaranteed to be in your pocket, in your account, ready to be spent. I have 2-month type budgets, and one is for a 4-week month and one is for a 5-week month. The 5-week month, I'm expected to have more income because I'll have 5 checks. For my 4-week month, I'm expected to have a little less money because I'm only receiving 4 checks that month. In 2020, there are only 3 months with 5 weeks, so that is May, June, and October. But I'm strictly basing most of my months off of a 4-week month and not a 5-week month. So I can pretend that I'm not making more money, and then I'll be surprised at the end of the month like, oh, I got more money in my account, but honestly, I just have an additional check. Just a note for any of you that are 25 and under, some banks do have like special checkings account that don't have like a monthly fee or something like that. So you may want to check out different banks to see what they offer for us young adults. Move on to expenses. What I define as expenses is anything that is a reoccurring payment. Anything that I have to pay once a month or on a monthly basis, that is what I consider an expense. Or something that I need is an expense. I consider that to be an expense. Most of these are set in stone, and some of them I actually create a budget for based upon my lifestyle. I'm gonna tell you what I mean. So for me, I have my expenses listed as rent, utilities, my phone bill, my renter's insurance, internet, my subscriptions, gas, groceries and toiletries, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Of course, expenses are unique to everyone. So if you have a car note, that would be an expense. If you have student loans that you pay off monthly, that'll be monthly or weekly, that'll be an expense. If you have credit cards. So when I budget for my expenses, I always over budget. So what I mean by that is, say for instance, my rent is $875 a month. Instead of saying $875, I put $900. Personally, I like to over budget just so like at the end of the month, I'm not like right at my limit with my expenses. I'm over budgeted and I'll have some money left over for my expense amount. Now, if you are on a strict or tight budget, you may not want to, but at least do $5 more than whatever that bill may be. The 2 things that I have on my list that I create a budget for myself are my gas and my groceries. Like I'll set like a $300 limit on my groceries and my toiletries, or I'll set like, hey, I probably spend about $300 in gas a month, or I spend like $500 in groceries a month. I pretty much create my own budget, but like I said, I still try to over budget in that number just so it won't sneak up on me and surprise me if it's more than what I think. My spendings account is strictly for things that I just want to buy miscellaneous. Say I want to go buy some shoes or some clothes, or some random hair products, some YouTube equipment, go get my nails done, my waxes. All of that is spending. I consider those things luxury. Anything that I consider luxury comes out of my spending account. I just take from my expense account. However, I do not put a lot in my spending account. I set aside a small amount a week each check for my spending account. Like I said, I don't spend a lot, and I make sure I cover majority of my needs in my expenses. Like, I eat out a lot, so I include that in my groceries. Unless I'm just being extra and I'm going out on the night for the talent at the bar, that's gonna have to come out in my spendings. Next, let's talk about savings. Woo! Okay, savings. Saving is hard as a young adult, especially if you are in college or you just have a part-time job. Saving is hard. You want to spend all the money. Trust me, I know. And we have, you know, our parents or just the adults in our lives telling us like save, save, save. And we have even some of our counterparts. I've actually seen like people ridiculing people for not having savings accounts. Oh, you should have a savings account. Please don't beat yourself up about it. I know there was a one point in my life there was no room for me to save. My expenses literally ate up all of my income. If you truly do want to save, create a budget, a really tight budget to at least get the smallest amount started. Start somewhere, even if it's just $1. Start somewhere. Set a savings goal. What are you saving for? Hey, I want to save this much this week. I want to save this much this month. I want to save this much this year. Set a savings goal. You can even create a savings goal like on your online banking if you want to do that, and it'll show you how much you need to save per week or per day or per month in order to reach that particular goal that you have. Y'all, I talk with my hands. I know. For savings, you can either do smaller or more frequent deposits into your savings, or you can do larger, less frequent amounts into your savings. Say for instance, I want to save $100 a week. Put that $100 there automatically, don't have to see it. Or you can do a certain amount a month, like, hey, I just want to save $100 a month, so at the end of the month I'm just gonna take this out and put it at the end. However you want to do it, just have a goal in mind and stick to it. When I first got my savings account really wasn't necessarily an account that I did not touch. It was just money that I didn't want to touch right now. So since I wasn't making too much money, I would dip into my savings account like a lot. So if you really don't want to touch your savings account, I would prompt you to have your savings account at a separate bank. That way you cannot transfer back and forth between your accounts. Usually you can only transfer between accounts if it's at that same bank. You can't do it from bank to bank. I'm not quite sure. Please fact check me on that. But just have it in a separate bank if you have an issue with transferring money a lot. That's just a quick tip. And the motto that I have for my savings account is transfer in, never out. Please have a goal in mind, like if you're saving for a car, a business, a house, future kids or current kids, or if you're saving just because you don't have anything in mind right now, but you know that you just want to have money set aside, definitely start saving. We can move off of savings and get into emergency fundings. Now, this is something that I am guilty of. I would just say my savings was my emergency fundings, but it's actually not. And pretty much just money that you can get to that's strictly for emergencies. Say for instance, I have a flat tire, I lock my keys in my car, I get sick and I'm out of sick days at work. That can be for emergency fundings to support my life while I'm not being paid. For me, I'm personally shooting for $1,000. Really set your budget based on your circumstances. Don't let these people fool you saying that you have to do anything that does not fit your lifestyle. please budget according to your lifestyle. Now I'm just going to tell you guys how I review and revise my budget. So at the end of each month, I get a bill statement, a monthly bill statement from my bank. Go straight to my email and I can easily pull that bank statement up and see just how much I spent in groceries that month, how much I spent in my rent, my utilities, or whatever the case may be. I can see exactly how much I spent. Now, if I feel like I spent way too much money on groceries, I can lower my grocery budget and be like, hey, bro, that was unnecessary. I can lower my budget. Or if I didn't spend as much gas as I thought I would, I can lower that budget as well. Like, hey, I'm really not spending $300 in gas a month. I'm really spending only like $150. I can adjust the budget, and that extra money can go into my spendings account. I can have more money to just spend on myself. Let's move on to some tips. My number one tip is to be realistic about your budget and just about your lifestyle in general. If you ain't got it, there's ways around it to look like you got it, okay? Thrift. Number two, be smart. Be smart with your money. I know we get our money, we instantly want to spend it, but be smart with your money. And to get a little bit more specific, here are some things that you can do if your expenses exceed your income. I put down to make sacrifice and downgrade. What I mean about that is get rid of some of your expenses or lower your budget for certain expenses. Say for instance, you have a lot of subscriptions under your expense list. You got Apple Music, you got Spotify, you got Tidal, you got Netflix, you got Hulu. Something has to go. Find one music app, find one streaming service, and just stick to that and make a sacrifice. I promise you will not miss those other things. You will not miss them. You will live. And if you have to take away some bigger things out of your expense, say for instance your phone bill, you have an unlimited plan that's just super expensive, you're gonna have to sacrifice that plan or get a cheaper phone, something. Usually the biggest expense are car notes and rent/mortgage. Make sure that the rent or your mortgage do not exceed 1/3 of your monthly income. If it does, please reconsider where you're living. Car note, I can't say much about a car note. I don't have one. If you are looking to buy a car, please make sure you're budgeting accordingly and being smart with your money. You don't want to have all of these nice things and have nothing left over in the month, like your expenses are chewing off your account for no reason. Because most things that we do, unfortunately, are for show and not necessarily for convenience. Cars are convenient. The style of your car is for show. Let's be honest. If your expenses exceed your income but you don't want to downgrade your lifestyle, you gotta start grinding. You can add a side hustle. You can request more time at work, get you some overtime. If you're part-time, looking to doing full-time, or you can just get a second, third, or fourth job if you don't want to make that sacrifice of downgrading your lifestyle. That's gonna require you making more money. You have to find more ways to make more money. I think that's all I have, but just to recap really quickly, I have 3 accounts. One is for expenses, one is for spending, and one is for savings. I break my accounts, my income down into steady income and unsteady income. The purposes of my different account spendings are just for any luxury thing that I do that is not a necessity comes from my spendings account. My expense account is for any bill, pretty much any bill, subscription, any reoccurring payment that I pay on a monthly basis comes from my expense account. Now, and my last is my savings account, which is strictly just building money, not touching the money, transferring in, never out. And just to run over my tips again, always over budget if you can. If your expenses exceed your income, it's time to make some sacrifices, cut some things out, lower some things, or it's just time to get on your grind, get some more income. So before I go, I want to start a conversation down below in the comment section about savings goal. What are you guys' savings goal? What is one of your savings goals? It can be something big or small. I'll kick off the conversation by saying one of my saving goals for this year, and this is to dedicate 1 month of my income strictly to my savings, which will be 1 month of my income being untouched anytime soon. It will go straight into my savings to never be touched again. I'm kidding, but it probably won't be touched within the next year or two. So yeah, that is my savings goal. Please let me know down below in the comment what your saving goal is for 2020. If I did not clarify some things or you want to reach me somewhere else, please be sure to hit me up at my email, or you can leave a comment below, whichever you're more comfortable with. I'm still learning. I don't know it all, but I hope to get more educated as I get older and I get more seasoned in my career. And just a quick quote before I leave that is motivating me is, if you can't manage a few $100 or $1,000, you can't manage a couple million. Don't forget to leave your saving goal down in the comment, and I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah.